Hey, just getting going here. A little bleary-eyed, but I'm going to go ahead and just get rocking. It's 7:47 in the morning. Hello, it's Monday, the 18th of December. Let's see how the coffee came out this morning. Here's my first sip. Oh, what a simple, wonderful pleasure. What a simple, wonderful pleasure. Cheers. People, I'm blown away when I hear from certain people and find out who's watching me, because I don't know who's watching me. I mean, I have an idea of my regulars, but I heard from an old friend who watches, and it's wow, that just really is wonderful to know, because I've tried to reconnect with this person, and it hasn't happened. So knowing that we're connected in this way, Charles, you're an important person in my history. It was an honor to have you play percussion with me when I played drums for the family band. That was actually rather instructive to me, so it's good to hear from you. I want to go ahead and shout out another musician I heard from this morning who has a new release and was kind enough to send me several of them, but he hasn't sent them all to me. But that makes sense because he's in Europe and it's not cheap. But the drummer Florian Arbenz has a new thing, Conversation number 10. I have the first three. Is that what I have? Conversation number 1, 2, and is this number 3? Number 4. I have numbers 1, 2, and 4. It was very kind of him, Florian. If you see this, it was very kind of you to do that, to send this to me, because it is not cheap. I listened to After getting your message this morning. I went ahead and listened right away online to a bit of number 10, and you're just moving right along with your artistry. This one is swinging. The head is fat. It's really good. I also have this other release by him, Reflections, with Greg Osby and Stephen Spiker. Good drummer. Good to hear from you, Florian. If you see this, thank you. Let me take another sip here. So I've been asked by several people to do, if I would please do a best of list. And so I just about have one. It's been a long time. See? Pete Jr., I know you notice that stuff. Me and my lamp. But it's been a long time since I've done lists. I've never been big on a best of the year list. Actually, all throughout my life, well, actually, starting probably most consciously in high school, rather than making a best of the year list that preceded, I was into, well, what will be the first record that I buy in the new year with the New Year's number on it? That used to be a thing for me. What was my first record of 1974, 75, 76? I couldn't tell you what they were, obviously. Unlike Stuart Copeland, who is a list person, and I've been listening to him in interviews. He's released a book where he's had diaries since he was a child. I've got a couple diaries, but they're very embarrassing. Like he says, you write when you're down, but I don't have those lists of what I used to have. But I'll wait till the actual last week of the year. I like Mark Manner's approach to this. He works at Homer's, and I consider him a friend. He gets on people who who post their best of the year list in like November or the first week of December. There's a whole month left of releases. And he's right. Who knows? There's something good could still come out before. So I'm going to wait. I've got 8 entries so far. But part of that is also because that's all I can remember that I bought that came out this year. There's probably more, or there's some titles that maybe were sent to me that I don't remember that made a good impression. So I'm kind of working on that. Hearing from Charles, though, made me think of something that I can hopefully share right quick. Another one of my favorites. Hearing from Charles reminds me of this artist, and drummers are really important to me. Very, very important to me. If there's a rhythm section and the drums aren't happening, that's a big minus. Things can happen with bad percussion or with untogether percussion, but drums make or break a band and an ensemble. And so I've always paid attention big time to drummers, starting before the Beatles, because of my parents, because of the drummers who would come to the house and play, the jazz drummers. They were just, these people would blow my mind watching them play the drums and the music and the way that they would be the engine. The drummer is the engine of the band, and how they would boost the whole affair, or they would let it. Well, my dad played with some badass musicians, so they didn't have too many shitty sessions. Drummers would be kicking everybody's ass, say, "Let's go, let's go, let's go," and that's the drummer just saying, And that was actually something else. I wonder if Charles might have been at this session where Marcus McLaurin is a professional jazz bass player out of New York. I forget who he's been playing with for years, but big names, Clark Terry among others. He's from Omaha. And I remember the session where I was learning how to play drums at the time, playing in my family band. But I was still really, really rough and not dedicated. I wasn't dedicated to practice. So I remember this one particular session at, I can almost remember his name. Was it Gerald Holtz? It's coming to me. But I got on the drums, and Marcus played for a little bit, and then he just stopped. He's on upright bass, and he just stopped and said, "Get up them drums." He was not mean. He was real. Matter of fact, "Get up them drums. You ain't ready. We're wasting our time." I just about cried because I was young and it hurt, but taught me a lesson. You need to be ready. That's why it means a lot to me that Charles played percussion, because he's a much better drummer than me. And as a result of playing together, we made it happen. I appreciate that so much. And it was very instructive. But one of my favorite drummers is Elvin Jones. And one of my all-time favorite albums is this album, On the Mountain. Now, what an unflattering, well, in a way, it's an intriguing picture of Elvin. I understand he's quite the character. I wouldn't be surprised that, that's Florian. Mm-hmm. Yeah. With Jan Hammer and Gene Perla, On the Mountain. This album is just wonderful. And the title track, On the Mountain, in particular, is my kind of track. It's got a real breezy melody. It would be perfect for driving, but it's also just like, I would play it for you now if I could, because this has set the tone for my morning in a good way. If you don't know this album, it's fantastic. two of them, I only have a few Elvin Jones albums, but two of them happen to be really up there on my list. And here's another one. Elvin Jones's album Genesis, the first track on this. I can't see it. Dang it. It's one of those moody tracks where it's like, oh man, it's the shit. PP Phoenix. The first track on this is one of my favorites. Then it goes into a blues thing, but the way that he does it keeps me listening. Okay? The cover is perfect for this. This is spacey. This is a killer album, if you don't know it. I grabbed what else I have by Elvin, and Merry-Go-Round, Elvin Jones. One of the great drummers of all time, Mitch Mitchell of Jimi Hendrix group, tried to play like Elvin Jones. Did a pretty decent job, actually. Mr. Jones. I need to play this. This one strikes me as, maybe this is one I didn't like so much, but looking at the personnel, that doesn't sound right. I just need to play it again. Mr. Jones. The Elvin Jones Jazz Machine, Remembrance. This is good stuff. I understand he was a handful, that he liked to drink, that he could be cantankerous. What's new? Elvin Jones, Time Capsule. See, I can do this with a lot of artists that I like. See, that's why I keep the videos at about a half hour, because I could talk all day, in all honesty, There's just so much information here. Here's a really good one. Polycurrents, Elvin Jones. Is this on Blue Note? Yeah. Polycurrents. With George Coleman and Joe Farrell. Those are saxophonists of note. We always hear about the greats, and these guys are like second tier when it comes to what people talk about, but that's only because I sometimes wonder how much people actually listen to these records. George Coleman and Joe Farrell in particular on saxophones are badasses, both of them, and are well worth getting to know more of their work. Yeah. So that's what I have by Elvin Jones. What also came up on either side of him, I'm glad I kept this. This is another artist who sent their music to me to be reviewed. It doesn't strike my fancy, but I kept this one, Jointpop. From Trinidad with Love, literally, I believe that's where these people are from. And I want to champion them because it's almost like, whoever hears about rock music from Trinidad, this sounds to me a little bit like it's in the Bruce Springsteen sort of vein, which when I say that, it doesn't interest me much. I don't have a single, never owned any Bruce Springsteen, none. But I kept this, and I'm glad. And maybe next time I listen to it, it's like, oh yeah, that's better than I realized. But coming right after the Elvin Jones is Quincy Jones. I just have a couple of his albums. Smack Water Jack is one I want to get again. My brother James had that when it came out. Great album. But this is another fantastic album. Walking in Space, Killer Joe. That's the track that I jammed with Calvin Keys, where I would like to find the tape of it. But Walking in Space, this is excellent. Well, Quincy Jones, in his own way, is a genius and has enriched the world musically, going all the way back to his early days in the 50s. Wonderful artist. So I can go in most any direction regarding music except for country. I have some old country singles like Marty Robbins and stuff and Patsy Cline. But this current bullshit they call, I could easily accept that there's a big section of current country music that is a CIA psyop. and I'm not into conspiracy. That's coming from having inside experience with this stinking ass government. That could be happening easily, especially where I live with country music and the underlying message and stance of it, which is frankly racist. They don't fool me just because they're working with hip hop artists. Fuck that shit. See how I just go off? But I can go in many directions musically for hours talking. Here's the other record that was before we get to, well, see, it's out of order. Well, no, it wasn't. Elvin Jones, Hilton Jones, Quincy Jones. Hilton Kean Jones, a dramatic montage and music concrete. East Montage, performances by Eastman School of Music student ensembles. And this is pretty cool. I got this from a library, as you can see. And there's one side of this is the music concrete, and the other side is orchestral. And interestingly, on the orchestral side, they do a Chuck Mangione composition, which is pretty cool. Yeah. There's one for you. Not usual. So again, yesterday I'm looking to see if I played any records. I have a couple new things that I'm working on that I'm tweaking as I learn things, and I'm really liking this new stuff. It still sounds like me, but it's like there's progression. You know, I'm learning things, so I'm learning and moving my art forward. I see this morning that someone bought a track. Someone bought the track Greetings off of my Dereck Nice album. Paid $1 for it, but what's amazing is the average worked out that I actually got 80 cents out of that dollar instead of it being just going straight to Bandcamp. So that's nice. Looking forward to hearing from disc makers possibly this week that the disc is done and getting a delivery date possibly next week or the week after. The Muse returns. That's basically what I have this morning, people. If you are of the lonely type, how about this? You're not alone, you just think you are. Well, wait a minute. You may be alone, but you're not necessarily lonely. You think you are. So if you're thinking loneliness, why dwell in it? Why not do something about it? And it can be something as simple as merely, you know what I mean, pardon me. There are so many simple little things that we can do to change our situation that we never do or seldom do. It could be as simple as you reaching out to someone, phone call, stepping outside of your house or your apartment, going somewhere public and just being there for a while. Maybe you'll have maybe you'll contact someone, maybe you won't. Maybe you even don't need to see another person to stop being lonely, but just switch from that train of thought, which is useless. And it's just in your head. It's just your thoughts. Okay, people, I'm going to stop there. Have a great day.